She didn't yell. She didn't argue. She didn't even explain. She just went silent. And somehow, you felt smaller, anxious, guilty, even when you did nothing wrong. If that's ever happened to you, this video is going to expose something most men never see coming. In this video, you'll understand exactly how silence is used as a psychological punishment in relationships. You'll see why silence creates self-doubt instead of clarity, how emotional withdrawal shifts power without confrontation, and why reacting the way most men do makes the dynamic worse. This is not about fixing communication. This is about seeing the mechanism clearly so it stops working on you. If you don't understand this pattern, hear what happens over time. You start censoring yourself to avoid distance. You hesitate before setting boundaries. You apologize faster than you should. You slowly trade self-respect for emotional peace. And one day, you won't even remember when you stopped acting freely. Only that silence started controlling your behavior. That's how psychological punishment becomes permanent. If this kind of knowledge matters to you, support the channel. Hit like. Subscribe. This helps this video reach more men who are being controlled by silence and don't even realize it yet. And comment below one word, control, so the algorithm understands who this video is for. We post new videos every day. Most relationship advice tells you silence means one of three things. She's hurt. She needs space. She's emotionally overwhelmed. That explanation sounds comforting. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because in many cases, silence is not an emotion. It's a strategy. A punishment designed to create imbalance and force submission without confrontation. Motivation videos won't tell you this. Dating gurus won't touch it. Because once you see it, you stop reacting the way you're supposed to. And that's bad for control. Silence works because of how the male nervous system is wired. When communication suddenly stops, your brain starts filling the gaps automatically. You replay conversations. You search for mistakes. You assume fault. You try to fix something you don't fully understand. That internal chaos is the goal. Silence removes clarity and replaces it with self-doubt. The more you doubt yourself, the more power shifts to the person who withdrew. No shouting. No accusations. No risk. Just control through absence. Punishment doesn't require aggression. It only requires one thing: making the other person uncomfortable enough to change behavior. Silence accomplishes that perfectly. When she goes cold after a disagreement, after you set a boundary, or after you didn't comply with an expectation, the message is clear. Access to me is conditional. Affection becomes currency. Attention becomes leverage. Connection becomes a reward or a punishment. And most men respond by chasing, apologizing unnecessarily, over-explaining, lowering standards, abandoning their original position, not because they're weak, but because the system is designed to pressure them silently. You fall into it because you were trained to. From a young age, men are taught that emotional distance means they did something wrong. So when silence appears, your instinct is not to observe, it's to repair. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If silence appears every time you assert yourself, if distance appears only when she's displeased, if warmth returns only after you give in. You're not dealing with emotional processing. You're dealing with behavioral conditioning. And conditioning only works when you don't recognize it. Silence creates asymmetry. One person feels calm. The other feels destabilized. One person controls timing. The other waits. One person withholds. The other seeks. That imbalance flips the frame of the relationship. Now decisions are no longer mutual. They're negotiated under pressure. And the most dangerous part, nothing visible is happening. From the outside, it looks peaceful. From the inside, it feels like psychological erosion. Most men make one fatal mistake. They try to talk their way out of silence. They ask what's wrong. They ask for reassurance. They explain intentions. They chase clarity. And by doing that, they confirm the effectiveness of the tactic. Silence worked. Pressure worked. Control worked. From a dark psychology perspective, behavior that works gets repeated. Not consciously. Automatically. Here, what actually disrupts silent punishment. Not confrontation. Not pleading. Not emotional reaction. But non-reactivity combined with self-direction. When silence appears and you don't chase. When distance shows up and you don't collapse. When coldness meets calm neutrality. The dynamic changes. Because now silence stops producing leverage. And without leverage, the tactic loses value. Dark psychology isn't about attacking. It's about removing incentives. This idea feels uncomfortable because it forces responsibility back onto you. It means accepting that not every emotional shift deserves a response. It means tolerating ambiguity without self-blame. It means understanding that access to you also has value. Most men were never taught that. And that's why silence feels so powerful until it doesn't. Not all silence is manipulation. But repeated silence tied to punishment, compliance, or control is not accidental. Once you see the pattern, you stop personalizing it. Once you stop personalizing it, it loses power. And that's the part no motivational speech will ever tell you. Because clarity doesn't feel inspiring. It feels dangerous to the systems built on your confusion.